Jason. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope. So today I just wanted to go through a few different articles, and they all share a very common thread. And it won't take much to work out what that is. Just go through this news headline I'll read first from the ABC News. Chinese trolls infuriated by loss to Taiwan in Olympic badminton gold medal match. Now, reading this article, obviously Taiwan, I think they're called in the Olympics Chinese Taipei, I believe that's how you pronounce it. Anyway, Taiwan actually beat China, mainland China, in the badminton, and they won the Olympic gold. Good on them. So they're in Japan, they won the Olympic gold, and the Chinese trolls are absolutely just giving it to them. Apparently they turned off the broadcasting, I believe, for the gold medal presentations and playing of the anthem and that in China. They didn't want to see it, so they had a bit of a sulk about it, so it would seem, and the trolls are out to get them. They are not happy. Anyway, so that was the first one. Second one I want to talk about, and this again in Australia, ABC News. Chinese embassy in Canberra accuses Japanese ambassador of nasty remarks. And now it says, I'll just run briefly through this article. The Chinese embassy in Australia has launched an extraordinary personal attack on, and forgive me for brutalising this name, it's Japanese, Shingo Yamagami. I'm sorry, Mr. Yamagami, I just massacred your name there. Anyway, Japan's ambassador in Canberra, accusing him of making nasty remarks about China and glorifying Japanese war crimes at a diplomatic function. I was reading through this article and different things about it. Japan has actually praised Australia for its stance against China, the stance that it's taken, and also made it very clear that it does not consider that Australia stands alone, and that Japan is standing with Australia in the stance against some of China's, some of the outrageous things that China's done lately. Now, this next article, so it's, pardon me, this next article is from the Daily Mail. Australia's draconian lockdown restrictions mocked by Beijing. So obviously, the common denominator in all these articles I'm reading is China. So this latest article, says China has mocked Australia for its draconian zero COVID restrictions that have seen police using helicopters to tell people to disperse populated areas and leave beaches. Basically, I'm going through this article, and the Beijing propaganda mouthpiece, the Global Times, is just giving it to Australia, just mocking them, mocking Australia, mocking our politicians, ScoMo, and just for the rules, for the for the lockdown rules that's going on at the moment. And in some respects, it's probably rightly so. Australia deserves to be mocked for some of the silly backflips and things that we've done lately on our lockdowns. And will we, won't we, what are we going to do? And to be mocked by Beijing for who are calling it draconian lockdown restrictions. I mean, that has got to be the ultimate pot calling kettle. I just don't know. How else do you explain it? China. Oh my goodness. Calling Australians' lockdown restrictions draconian. They're like the king of draconian measures. Precious moments. Anyway, so obviously these stories here, they're about China, and you read through all of them, and it seems like they're all about China having a hissy fit. They remind me of when you're at high school or primary school and you've got the schoolyard bully, and everything's going good when the bully they've got their own way. It's all fine. And then when you see someone who actually stands up to the bully and says, no, I'm not going to take it anymore, and stands up, and then the bully kind of gets all shirty and like has a little hissy fit and goes in and sulks and starts screaming and calling people names and swearing and carrying on. This is exactly what China's doing. They are the schoolyard bully. They're ridiculous. Now, in another story, and I was reading this just the other day, and again, it's regarding China, but what is it? I want to get the name of this right so I don't stuff it up. But the British aircraft carrier, the HMS Queen Elizabeth. How was I going to get that wrong? Anyway, I just get mixed up with the HMS or HMR or whatever they are. Anyway, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, which is an aircraft carrier, ignores Chinese threats. The British aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth has ignored warnings from the Chinese and entered the South China Sea, leading to fears of reprisals from Beijing. So the Brits, now the Brits, it seemed like they finally had enough, and they're sitting there going, well, I'll read through this article, and China are just once again, they're just mouthing off, trying to instill fear, threaten people, not even subtly, just overtly threatening, and the Brits are like, well, you know what, we've got a very strong military, and our naval presence, our naval strength is better than the Chinese naval strength, and they're actually a blue water naval navy, so which basically means that their navy can travel anywhere and exert power anywhere in the world. So they've gone, stuff it, we're going. And they've gone over and into the South China Seas, and I believe they've gone over towards the Philippines. I'll read a bit of this article. It says, one of the UK's advanced flagship aircraft carriers, the HMS Queen Elizabeth, has sailed into the contested maritime region, needless of the vocal threats from China, referring to the passage of the British ship's Chinese defense spokesman, how do you say this name, Tan Kai-Thai, spoke to the South China Morning Post and said the Chinese side believes that the South China Sea should not become a sea of great power rivalry dominated by weapons and warships. The real source of militarization in the South China Sea comes from countries outside this region sending their warships thousands of kilometers from home to flex muscles. So you can interpret that as China going, wah, they're just a bunch of sooks. They keep threatening everyone in the region. They keep trying to tout their military power and flex their financial power. And quite frankly, I believe the rest of the world is getting sick of it. We've seen Australia stick its little head up, last year or whenever it was, and say, nah, we're not going to take it anymore. A few of the other countries now, you've got Japan, who I wouldn't be surprised if Japan's probably a lot more stronger militarily than they let on. But Japan standing there, you've got the Brits sending over, and it's not just an aircraft carrier. They've sent over a whole strike group. So it's a heap of different ships, and it's not just British ships too. It's other ships. I believe it was some other European destroyers. There's a few. I can't remember all the countries that it came from, but it's a big strike group, and it's not something you're going to mess with. And quite frankly, I don't think China has not got the ability to come against this British strike group that they've sent over. So the Brits have just basically ignored them and said, nah, we're going to do what we want to do. The Americans are finally standing up, even though I'm not sure if old smoking Joe Biden's going to really do anything, but they're finally actually seem like they've had enough. All this to say, all these articles just show, China, they're just the schoolyard bullies. That's all they are. They want their way. That's all they do. They just want their way and no other way. They are a totalitarian nation. They believe that they want to be world leaders. They believe they are world leaders. The thing is, they don't want to lead. They want to lead their way or no way. The other thing that China does not understand, their leader, they've got this is what I believe is their greatest weakness at the moment. Their leader, who does actually look like Winnie the Pooh, if you've seen those memes on the internet about how he looks like Winnie the Pooh. There's no succession. Okay. Now, generally in China, I was doing a bit of research, and you would, with the leadership in China, generally, even though communist nation, you would stand down from your power at around 68, around that age. Now, this is the age that he's coming up to now, but he is not standing down. He has named himself all these different titles, and I believe it's the ruler for life, something like this. But the biggest issue is they've got a power vacuum. There's no one ready to take over the leadership role in China once something. I mean, obviously this dude's not, I don't know what he thinks he's going to live forever, but he's not going to live forever. And the biggest issue that they've got is there's no one there ready to take over from him when either he just gets too old or something else happens. I mean, no one, no one can expect that their next breath is definite. You could die I don't care who you are, you could die at any moment. Your next day is not guaranteed to you. And this is the greatest weakness in China. No succession plan for their leadership. Back to my original thoughts on China. They are just schoolyard bullies. You read through all these articles about China, that's all they are. And they're even when it comes to a small nation like Taiwan, they're crying on the internet because they got beaten in the badminton. They're whinging like school bullies. That's all. They're whinging to the British because they can't come. They want to dominate the South China Seas. China, you need to take a breath. You're not, and I've said this before, the rest of the world are not going to allow China to become the dominant global players like they want. The rest of the world, in my opinion, they've had enough. China, mark my words, they are on the down. They are in decline. That's my opinion. Let me know what you think. Drop me a message. Thanks for listening.